Hey, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to my channel, Eyes of the Dragonfly, with my co-host, the Reverend Rob Lee. And we are going to discuss Beyond the Cards this evening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some spooky experiences that we've had, that you've had. Maybe you think they're spooky, maybe we won't. Who knows? They were spooky to us anyway. Yeah. And we'll talk about your spooky experiences. It should be a good time. Lots of fun. It's 2 days before All Hallows Eve, guys. Woo! So, Rob, do you want to say your protection for us?
Sure.
Before we start, and then we'll talk about what people's plans for Halloween are.
Yeah, it's all popping up. We'll see what's happening. All right, our most gracious and loving Heavenly Father and the Divine Mother, the Holy Spirit, the all, we say thank you and thank you and thank you for all the blessings that you bestowed on us. Now, as we go through and we have some good times and some things we're going to talk about, might be a little scary or whatnot, please, your light of protection. We're going to have it wrap around everyone in the chat, everyone that's watching, everyone that sees this video, but Brigitte, myself, Gillian, all of these people, make sure that nothing is allowed to stay with us that is not of you, of the light, or for our higher good. So mote it be.
All right. Awesome. So I'm excited. We're 2 days till Halloween. Woo, spooky. And you got anything planned?
Well, we, for the first time in years, because we were always gone or doing something, it seems like, we went out and bought candy. So we've got this big bowl of candy. Yeah, no, they shouldn't have done that, you know? So, but instead of sitting down eating a candy bar, I'm going by and grabbing 2 or 3 of these little nuggets, but enough that we had to go, maybe I better buy another bag of candy.
Right. I bought this year gummy bear, little packages of gummy bears and little packages of pretzels, because I likely will not eat leftover gummy bears, but I will eat leftover pretzels. And the pretzels are shaped like jack-o'-lanterns and bats. So I got those this year because we're trying really hard to not eat the candy and stuff like that. So
yeah.
So I got things that I really didn't particularly like.
I bought the candy and bought everything I liked. We got the cherry stuff. We will be that house with Butterfingers, Baby Ruth, Snickers, Kit Kats. You know, they're all the snack size, the little bags of M&Ms. And then one of my favorites, the Almond Joy. Yeah, we got that going.
We usually are that house too, where we've got the good candy, and we get, over the years, the amount of kids that we get has dwindled considerably. So
one of the things that's crazy here, I don't understand, with Halloween being on a Friday, they made the trick or treat night on a Thursday, and I'm like, what the hell? Why can't kids trick or treat on a Friday night? That doesn't make any.
Maybe they're worried about
control freakish with some of this stuff.
They may be worried about adults on a Friday night out of control, driving, mowing kids down, drinking, doing
could be
stuff. I don't know.
That could be.
I always thought it was stupid too when they were like, so if Halloween's on a Sunday night, the kid stays up an hour later and he's a pain in the ass to get up for school in the morning. But it's Halloween, what I mean? But look who's here. We've got Deborah. Hi, Deborah. Hi,
hey, Deborah.
Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Donna. Hi, Gillian. Hello, everybody. This is everybody I can see in the chat right now. So if you're here and you want me to say hello to you, say something in the chat, please.
Yeah, say howdy.
Yeah.
But I'm firing up another stick of incense.
Have at it. Mine were stinging my eyes, so I just we don't have too many plans. I think Bruce is working during the day, as am I. And then we're just gonna wait for our 27 kids to come. We'll give out our stuff, and then we'll go back in.
Yeah, I thought we might sit out on our front porch, and be a little cool fall or whatnot. Now it's freaking cold. Okay, we've gone beyond that. So, I think it's in the low 40s right now at 8:30 at night. So it's supposed to go into the 30s every night now. So, no, they can knock on the damn door.
Yeah, we usually sit out at the end of the driveway with the dogs, and because the dogs, Tallulah, they love, well, pet me. So and we'll hand the candy out that way usually. But
yeah,
I don't have any real plans.
Did y'all ever do anything to scare the kids when they came up?
I'm trying to remember when the boys were little. I think Bruce dressed as like the Grim Reaper or something once, and he would come out. The big oleander bush that's in front of the house, and when it's not trimmed, it's like huge.
Yeah.
So I think he like hid behind that and came around and would be like, sneak up on the kids. But nothing too terrible. Like I watch some of the things that some of these people, like I'm watching TikTok and stuff, and some of the things these people do to these kids are just, I don't know, it's like borderline abusive.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. I like a good little startle, but then again, it's it's a little kid, so it gets my heart. Different things, talking about things that scare you. All right. And somebody said here at Hog Witching, oh, I was so lost when I didn't see you streaming tonight, Reverend Rob. Yeah, we're gonna start doing the Beyond the Cards and things over here, right here on Bridget's channel. So y'all help me. Everybody hit the subscribe button. Everybody hit the like button and let's get Miss Bridget's channel up and running too. Okay. Let's see what's happening there. Okay. So that's what we're doing. Monday nights, 8:30. I'm back at it on my channel. See what's going on, but I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming out and finding us.
Yeah.
It's Cleve. Good to see you. Good to see you. So
it's so much easier to follow the comments when you're not working the control board, huh, Rob?
Yeah, much easier. Much easier. And one of the things, so we went into Salem last weekend, okay? Had kind of not last weekend, weekend before. What a madhouse, okay? We will never do that again, okay? It was just people as far as the eye could see, and we spent 3 days there, going in, driving out, and it was just a nut house. And a lot of people, it was fun. They had a lot of fun, but it showed people how commercialized this has actually gotten, and it's one of those things where people just, okay, we can have a little fun, but then everybody wants to jump in. And everybody thinks, they're a witch, they're doing this, they're doing that, or whatnot. And my wife and I were talking to somebody, and I told them, I said, the real witches are the ones that aren't all dressed up. You might have one or two that enjoyed it, but they're the ones you could see a lot of them, and make eye contact, and I got a lot of that eye contact to me, and hey, how are you? Yeah, okay, we're good,
Yep.
But then there's a lot of the other, turning goth into witchcraft, and it's like, okay, that's what you want to do, that's your thing,
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
cool.
Well, it was a little busy when we were there. We were there in August, so I can't even imagine, 2 weeks before Halloween, what
Oh my God.
chaos that was.
It was insane. It was insane. There were hundreds of people getting off at the train stop at the light, just trying to cross light. They shut streets down, everything else. So let me ask you this, okay? When you were a kid, let's start maybe younger, because my first story is going to be something that actually scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, but it really chilled me when I was an adult.
Right.
When something else happened. So I got a good lead in, but do you have one that you remember coming in or things like that?
Oh, hey, Brian, thanks for joining.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
That's Bruce's friend.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, do I remember anything super scary? Like paranormally or just
You might not have even known what it was, okay? But you
yeah,
were it's something that
I
scared
just the things I had older siblings who were relentless.
you. Right.
And there are things that they did to scare me, like
Oh, okay.
stuff like that. I don't really remember any like most of my creepy stuff that I remember is adult. But
Okay.
but my siblings would be like my sister one time, she's gonna kill me for telling this story. There was a movie, I don't know, late 60s, mid 70s, I don't know, where they lived in a house and one of the fireplaces was like blacked off and there were these little creature guys who lived down in it and they had these weird sort of shrunken head things. I don't know if you remember it. I can't remember. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, maybe it was called.
Donna, and I think Donna just nailed it. The Children Under the Stairs. Would that be it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
I think it was Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. But
Okay.
I remember this. So the lady's in there, she's taking a shower, and these teeny little creatures, they're like this big, are come with they can't be in the light. They can't do the light. So they gotta be dark. And they put the hanger like they made a little crack in the door and they put a hanger through and flip the light switch down. This is before we had those push button ones.
Yeah.
And they then stole the lady and they dragged her into the fireplace, right? And the end of the movie is her, you could hear them like, and her talking to them in the fireplace, right? But the whole movie, all these things did was torment the hell out of her. So, of course, we watch this movie and I'm little. I don't know, 6, 7. So I'm living on Long Island, so I gotta be, it's before I'm 10 years old. Okay. And she comes to my bedroom door and she opens it and sticks and I was scared, so I had the light on. I'm sleeping with the light on because I don't want the little guys to come in. Sticks the hanger in. I lose my shit. I absolutely lose my mind. My sister says 5. She thinks I was 5, probably at the time. But sorry, Don, for outing you. Absolutely scared the ever loving shit out. I screamed.
Yeah.
But that was the kind of stuff, and like we watched like Salem's Lot and just things that a kid my age shouldn't be watching. But my siblings were 5, 7, and 9 years older than me, so they're watching all this stuff, and I'm there watching it with them. I shouldn't be, but I am. But
Right.
That's the kind of stuff I remember. But I don't remember any like real paranormal stuff from that age.
I had some stuff that I scared me to death as a kid, but I didn't connect it until later on in life. And I kept saying it was just me being a kid. Brian says one of his scariest moments is when a kid I watched the movie Gargoyles. I just watched that the other day, believe it or not. All Alone on Halloween night. Yeah, exactly. And, he says, does anyone remember Trolls? Ernest Scared Stupid. I was trying to explain that, make sure that Gillian knew what, what do you know what I mean, Vern? Know what I mean? That was my boy. I loved Ernest. So, yeah. But when I was a kid, I was literally petrified of the dark. Petrified. But it wasn't just being in the dark. I always felt something with me and in my bedroom and everything else, and so I became even more scared of my closet. All the closet doors had to be closed. The blinds had to be down and the curtains had to be drawn. I didn't want, because I just knew people were looking at me. Okay. And this is going to get even creepier in a little bit when I get into my adult years. Okay. All of a sudden, as a little older, I started having dreams where I was flying. Now, not Superman up and away. It was more or less like floating. But I can remember 3 distinct times, and this is preteens, so 10, 11, oldest, okay, where I floated outside. It was dark, but there was a huge light around me. All right. I didn't see a bulb. Everything was just, but I'm floating. Twice I was floating face down, but I could look up and see. I didn't see anything. I floated over our hedge and everything. And then all of a sudden, everything was gone. And then I woke up, and it was very unnerving. Okay. Sure. And this happened 2 or 3 times. And I always felt like something was in my closet, that I was afraid of things coming out of the closet, and they were coming out of the closet at night, like they were hiding in the closet. So much that even when the sun came out in the morning, I did not like opening my closet door. So I would push it, like you said, kind of with a hanger, or get something and push it open, and see what was going on. Kind of had some things tamed down. Always felt like I would get in the car as I got older and be like, who's in the car with me? And, people have asked me, when did you start realizing I could do some of the things I can do? And you know what? Even then, I didn't connect A and B. Okay. Right. Now I get older and I'm actually in police work. Okay. And I'm working the overnight shift from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. by myself in the woods, in a little town called Chiefland. Okay. And I'd still get these creepy heebie-jeebies. I'd hear something getting, sit in a car, sit next to me or whatnot. Finally, my son is born, my oldest boy. Okay. And we were living at that point in time when we moved from Chiefland back to that house, to the same house, and he was in my same bedroom.
Oh, wow.
And all of a sudden, he gets this huge, and I didn't say anything, hadn't said anything to anybody or anything. He has this massive fear of the dark.
Is this, let me ask you something. Is this the house that you and Gillian lived in?
In Melbourne Beach?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah. No, there was stuff going on in that house. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of, stuff. But this actually then turned out. So we're talking one day, and he is just deathly afraid of the dark. And I'm like, I'm going to leave. He said, close my closet door. Now this is really starting to hit home to me. Okay. Really starting to hit home. And then finally, one day I asked him, I said, what's in the closet? And I thought he was just going to tell me, oh, I just don't like that feeling. He said, I don't like the clown that lives in the closet.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
We immediately did a whole bedroom swap thing. Okay.
Did you set the closet on fire? Because
oh my God, my blood's running cold right now. And as I started researching it, one of the things I found out was not only in the supernatural, but aliens. A lot of people that have been abducted by aliens report having dreams of flying, but they're not soaring, they're floating.
Right.
So again, I didn't say anything. I said, when was the last time you floated? Oh, that was the other night. And I'm like, holy shit. Are they revisiting the same? Am I a research project?
Right.
Is our family a research project? So from there, it was in that house that I got my first divorce. Nothing ever worked right in that house. There was always anger. There was always bitterness. There was always whatnot. but I thought, ooh, I get the heebie-jeebies now thinking about it, that there was something, a portal or something in that closet in that house.
Florida is very, look, Florida is like one big burial ground.
Right.
So who the heck knows what was going on around your house? You know what I mean? 1,000 years ago or whatever. You know what I mean? And yeah, like, and when they came over from Spain and they started raiding everything, I mean, they're landing on the coasts and coming in, and I can only imagine what's happened, what happened.
Yeah. But that kind of started my whole, I've never been comfortable. I've always had the feeling that there's been a presence around me.
Right.
But that was that Melbourne Beach house. And that was again, a lot of anger in that house for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So, a lot of bad energy in there. And I didn't know anything to do, even as an adult back then. I'm in police work in my early 20s. I didn't know anything about it, or whatnot, had no place to go. Occasionally, I would call my father when I had something going on and be like, hey, I was at college, all right? And I was reading a book in my dorm room, okay? And I was by myself. And I love my Stephen King's, things like that. And I picked up a different author or whatnot, but there was a dragon or something on the back of the book. And it started moving.
Oh.
And it would actually slithering around the back of the book. And I called my dad, who's preacher at the time, and I'm way, and he lived in Chiefland. And I'm like, here's what I've got. He's like, take it to the dumpster right now. I know you're not allowed outside the dorm or anything this late. Get it out of there. Get it out of your room. And that's about the extent of, and then he and I had another experience where he was experiencing, and this is some of my anger issues towards my father when I say this story down the road. You'll find out what's going on in one of his churches, in the church. And creepy. So I can go on for a while, but I didn't know if you had ever had anything like that or whatnot.
Well, I think, as you're talking, I'm trying to think about one of the strangest, and so spooky is relative, right?
Yes.
So I can tell you that one of the strangest experiences I had was when I was very young. And my grandfather died. I was very close to my grandfather. He took care of me. My parents were divorced, and he was retired, and I was little, 4 or 5 years old ish.
Right.
So he took care of me. My dad was at work. I spent a lot of time with my grandfather. He picked me up from half-day kindergarten. I spent all the rest of the day with him until, my dad got home from work or my grandma got home and took me back home. And, then my siblings were getting out of all-day school or whatever. So we spent a lot of time together. And when he passed away, I was young, probably 6 or so. But one of the things I remember was I was standing in my kitchen, and I was looking, like we had like this bank of windows that
right.
looked across the backyard. And I'm looking in the bank of windows, and I see this person in the bank of windows. And it's my grandfather, and he is in his kitchen in his house. Now he has passed away now. He's already dead. In his kitchen is in his house doing who knows what. That kind of freaked me out a little. And I just kind of was like, whoo. And I turned around and walked away. And I remember trying to see, because we had neighbors. It was a suburban area. We were not our houses were close enough together that we weren't on top of each other. It was the expanse of my backyard, but I was trying to see if I could see through the next door neighbor's window at night. So I would go back and look, and I couldn't because we had like a bank of hedges that blocked it, along the fence line. So I couldn't even see through their window. So that kind of weirded me out. I've had some other strange experiences. My oldest son would tell me about how so right after he was born, his great grandmother passed away.
Right.
And he would tell me how we're on the second floor in a second floor condo. And he would tell me how she would sit outside his window and watch him at night, talk to him at night.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, my sister says, Brigitte, he appeared to Mom too after he died. So that's my granddad, right?
Yeah.
So he, but yeah, I just odd experiences, and most of my experiences though were as adults. And my father passed away, and I met him every day for a year in my dreams.
Right.
Every single day, I would be turning a corner, and there would my dad be, and I would say to him, "But I thought you died," and he would say, "Who told you that? Who told I'm right here. I didn't, and I'd be like, wow. And then even beyond that, I was having, like personal issues, and he would come to me and tell me things about how to deal with those issues. Wild. Those were wild experiences.
Yeah.
I'd sit in my car and smell cigarettes. My sister will do it too. We always know my
dad.
Get
that one a lot. I
cigarettes
smell cigarettes. I don't know if it's my grandfather on my mother's side with cigars, but there's somebody that comes to me quite honestly. Gillian's heard me say, "Do you have somebody in here smoking today?" When I got in her car, when we had two cars,
right,
things like that. And a couple times it was so strong, I was like, "Come on, tell me what's going on," But you know what I think's funny? And you brought it up about the kids seeing stuff and then things kind of go away. I think that gets back in touch with us, we adult, and just constantly start to tell ourselves it's all a figment of our imagination. It's not real. So we stop seeing things.
Well, I had imaginary friends when I was little, and I was always told they were imaginary friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be in the bathroom having full-on conversations with a group of 3 people. We would be
so
out
looking
somewhere.
back, do you think they were imaginary? Or do you remember seeing 3 real people?
I had names. One was John Colin Baltimore. One was Little Bridget. One was Big Bridget. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
And then the other one was I had a teacher named Mrs. Ickerson. And Donna said Mrs. Ickerson. We all went, and I would talk to them all the time. And my family would just say that it was, and they would say, Bridget, like something would happen, and they say, Bridget, why did you do that? And I would say, but it wasn't me. It was John Colin Baltimore, or it was Little Bridget, or it was Big Bridget. And, of course, I bore the brunt of it. So my whole life. But I can tell you that John Colin Baltimore was like, had like a Dutch boy haircut. He was blonde, hair like to here. It was very interesting. Thinking back as an adult, I think they were probably maybe guides.
Okay.
And that's why I have such trouble connecting with certain guides, because I was told my whole life that it's just not real. It's not. And let me tell you something, they were real. I had conversations. I would have play sessions. My sister says, "Ooh, John Colin Baltimore was a bad boy." But I also had, I don't want to say traumatic childhood, but there was like shit going on in our family that would cause probably some trauma. Not anything terrible, like we were children of divorce. We were a single parent, household. My dad had like raging anger. You can appreciate that. Just stuff like that affects a kid and their trauma response. That back then we didn't realize that that's what was happening. But so who knows? Who knows if, dude, maybe I was becoming, maybe I was fragmenting into Sybil. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? And Cynthia mentioned something about a lot of the movies don't scare, but like Saw, things like that. And I separate the slasher gore movies from horror movies. The only way they're horror is because they scare people when the bad guy pops out. Okay. And I'm with you, Cynthia. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't need some of that in my head. Scary movies, I like them. But then there are times when the scary movie touches a nerve and I'm like,
Yeah, see, I'm right there with you because I don't like to be startled in general, right?
Right.
I don't like it. So those jump scares, I hate that.
Yeah.
Like you're watching the movie and suddenly it's in your face. I don't like that. But what bothers me even worse is when it is so close to something that could happen in reality that and so the movie Monster, the Eileen Wuornos story, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That was real life. I had nightmares because that is real life. That really happened. She was, the poor woman was crazy. She was just so nuts. I saw Gothica, maybe Gothica. It had Halle Berry. And that was like real mental.
Yeah.
I had nightmares after I saw that. Just, if it touches on something that can, like, I had to stop watching. We talked about it. We had to stop watching Criminal Minds for a while because it was just too much. Like,
yeah, and they got too vivid, too real.
Yeah.
And then they started including children all the time.
Yeah.
And they were showing the children in pain or scared, or screaming. And that's when I went, nope, got to shut it down. Got to shut it down. Yeah. Because there are things I was capable of walking into a scene
as a police officer,
picking up that energy and could tell people kind of what went on and would be told later, hey, I was pretty close or whatnot. And, just some crazy stuff, especially in police work that happened that was just absolutely absurd. That house where my ex-girlfriend and I lived, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When we moved in that last house, there was a dead tree in the backyard, but the house kind of like made a corner, a 90, right around this dead tree, like the center or something.
That creepy area too. Is it the
yes.
house I'm thinking of? That
was the shop that me and Greg worked in and things like that. No. We knew somebody had been killed in that shop, or the animal. We would be sitting there, and it was closed in on both ends, and their two dogs would go on alert and just start pairing right back down in there. And nobody ever wanted to. If we said, "Hey, I need a box from in there," somebody go grab me a box. It was almost like defiant from the kids. I'm not doing it. And then I remembered one of the things I'm going to tell you now, that when my dad pulled on me, and I went, never mind, I'll get it. Okay. And I would go back there praying, saying prayers or whatnot. But he said, I cut that tree down. I'm like, okay, well, I thought he removed the tree. Okay. Because everybody in the house went, that tree is creepy. Okay. Right. One time I saw the entity as a big black mass moving through the house. Okay. And if you remember, that's when things really started going south in that relationship.
Well,
Okay.
the daughter, I would come over and I was reading cards for you guys, right?
Right.
And the daughter tried to get me to go into that shop, and I was like, no.
Yeah, no way. No way.
No.
Well, then when I find out, when everything breaks up and I leave, he leave, everybody broke up. Everybody did the whole disintegration thing. I found out all he did was cut the tree off. He didn't dig the root up.
Well, so he just pissed it off, whatever it was.
Just pissed it off. And when I got out of there and I came back to get some stuff, and I was the only one in the house, he was over getting equipment. And I challenged it. And I said, that's it. You will leave us alone. Because this is something that the kids would run out to us. And, the two boys of the same age at that point, you remember they were 13, they weren't like little. They were old enough to know this shit's weird. And they called me Bobbert, and they come running into the bedroom and they go, Bobbert, what? Our TV just turned on. Not shut off. It turned on. And it was happening 2 or 3 times. And they would wind up sleeping in the living room. As things got worse, and she got even, to me, more and more off track, off kilter. Mm-hmm. And remember, you even came up at one point and said, you got to do what you got to do. Mm-hmm. I'm sleeping out in the family room. And as I'm sitting there, my first thought was, I felt, how you feel somebody sit down on the bed next to you and it's real. It's not just a little light. This was real. Yeah, they sat down next to me. At first, I was petrified. So I started, singing gospel songs. I started saying things and quoting the Bible, things like that. And I was able to go to sleep. And then what I really realized was, I think there was an angel that came and sat next to me to protect me.
Yeah.
All right. But when I challenged it, this whole black mass went to the walls and actually went out towards that room. Okay. And around that tree.
Yeah.
And that was.
Makes you wonder what was buried under the tree.
Yeah. Exactly.
See, I don't have terribly creepy stuff like that, but I wonder if it's because I just walked around my whole life just feeling energy, knowing that it was, you know what I mean? Just being able to walk into a room and knowing it's off or something's not. I mean, you know how I get. Like, I'll walk into a room and be like, nope, gotta go. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
But go ahead.
No, I was going to say, the creepiest one was the church. Okay. And I was in my 20s. No, I was still in high school. But I was like a junior or a senior. And I was a big boy. I was 6 foot, 200 pounds then, was doing a lot of work, things like that. I really wasn't much afraid of anything. And my dad had his first church and we were out in the woods. And the mobile home was on the other side of a piece of property, about 5 acres. So it was a good 100, 200 yard walk to what was called the parsonage.
Right.
In the woods, in the dark. Okay. When church would get done, especially in the evening, he would go out and he'd say, Robbie, you go. And yes, everybody, my folks called me Robbie. Okay. Robbie, you turn the lights off, which were in the back of the church, and you had to come out through the church. Okay. Now, why would you be scared to death in a church? But I would turn the lights off and have to wait for him and my mother to get across that so they could see in the light.
Right.
Before I was allowed to turn the lights off. Did my old man come back for me? No, he did not.
No, you hauled ass.
I would shut, and I swore as I came back through the auditorium, I would see little black figures and red eyes peeking up over the pews. Okay.
Oh, hell
No,
no. Yeah.
this gets even better. Okay. Naturally, I'm not going in and saying anything to my dad, but then it's taken me hours to get to sleep because we're right across. And I'm like, well, are they coming out of the church? Whatever. The church goes through this huge split, and my dad is trying to save the church. And I never will forget this as long as I live. It's a Sunday night. All right. My dad's preaching, and he says, you know what? Nobody in this church is a liar, but Satan is a liar. Satan will manipulate the truth. Satan will tell us things because he doesn't want us to succeed in this church. When it was over, the guy stood up behind me. Okay. And one of the main stirrers. And he stood up, and I never forget it. You could hear it just like real slow. And he looked right at my dad in the pulpit and said, now that you've called me a liar, now that you said I will do anything to destroy this church. And my dad just threw his hands up and go, I resign. And when I turned around, I swear to God, his eyes were red. And as we left, my dad wouldn't even stay in there. And finally, when we were over in the parsonage, he apologized to me because the church scared him to death so much. He was making me, as his son, go deal with it because he didn't want to be in there.
Oh, that's nice. Great. I'll just sacrifice my only begotten son. Why not?
And so he didn't realize the anger that set up in me. Okay.
Of course.
And for 2 years, I thought I was losing my mind, that it was crazy. Okay. But yeah, and the church split that day.
Yeah.
But and my dad, honestly, there are a lot of things me and him disagreed on. But the only person he called a liar and said was trying to split that church up, he called him my name. He said Satan. And that guy stood up and said, now that you said I'm a liar.
Right.
I'm like, okay. I just dealt with my first that I know was possessed person, And my dad said, there's no winning that battle, So, that this kinds of stuff I've had around me my whole life.
Right.
And it wasn't until 5-6 years ago when you and I started talking where I started going, these were things that I was perceiving. These were things that I was, and things were trying to open my eyes to it. So,
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, I was raised Catholic as best as they could. And the thing that scared the shit out of me the most was Jesus on the cross. I would look at that and his face, and of course they make it so no matter where you move, the freaking head is following you.
Yeah, the eyes. Yeah, I see you.
and there'd be pictures of Jesus on the wall, and Donna, did Grandma have a picture of Jesus on? Who had it? Maybe Aunt May or Aunt Marie. Somebody had a picture of Jesus on the wall, and in their house. And I hated it because I'd go run past it. And because it would follow you, you walk past it and the eyes are following you. I'm like, dude, that is a no-go for me. My grandma, Grandma Munson. Okay. Yeah. So my grandmother had the picture of Jesus that followed you around. So my grandparents, had a house on Long Island, and the houses there are 2, maybe 3 stories. And you also have a basement, and you also have an attic. So they're pretty decent sized houses most of the time. They're not like the houses here in Florida where it's all ranch style, all one floor. There's a crawl space, no basement. So there was the room that we had to sleep in when we were sleeping over Grandma's house was very small, but there was if you looked around the edge over here, there was a door that went up to the attic.
Right.
I hated staying in that room. Hated that room because of the door to the attic. But my sister, look, she says, I hated the attic. I
Yeah.
hated the attic. uh, I, we did. It was terrible. It was terrifying. I did never wanted to sleep in that room because I was certain that something was going to come through that attic door and come get me or something. I just but now my house had a similar thing where one of the bedrooms, in order to access the attic, you had to go through one of the bedrooms. I did not have that trouble in the house, my parents' house, in the house that I lived in with my dad and stuff. I was not aware. The house with my dad was the basement. I hated going down to the basement. It wasn't the attic that bothered me.
Right. Yeah, Donna's saying, I swear somebody died in that attic.
Yeah, something. But I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
Great grandma's chair, rocking chair, was up there, Donna, and I swear that had something to do with it. That a rocking chair that she would sit in. But our great grandmother, I think she lived with our grandparents for a little while before she passed away. But but we spent a lot of time at our grandparents' house. A lot of time.
Hog witching is saying, attics are super not fun.
No,
when I moved down south, it was a hurried. Oh, everything just moved on me. Super not fun. It was a hurried, not fun nightmare with bugs. Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah. I'll bet, especially from the south. And man, I've had to go up in my grandparents' attic. Coons got up in the attic. Rats got up in the attic, and I had to go clear everything out or whatnot. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Hogwitch, having so many.
Man, I can go on and on about stories about being touched, being felt, and then some of the creepy things in police work that actually, there were some of the people that I Baker acted that I truly felt and would come out and pray and do whatever, that they were possessed. Right. That it wasn't just mental health. They were possessed. Because again, witchcraft, voodoo, things like that, all of that was a very big thing in that neck of the woods, the Northwest Florida area, just for the Panhandle. And there were a couple times my wife would come out and go, hey, you got to clean out the driveway. Somebody threw a curse on you. There'd be a chicken head and purple powder, green powder, my picture from the newspaper all tore up with rocks. And I just never gave it any credence, okay? But when I got rid of it, I burned it, okay? And I always seem to say a prayer.
Right. Well, that is old magic. Old magic, right? That kind of chicken feet and that kind of stuff. That's like old from, like when you brought slaves over, old. And yeah, that's that. I don't mess with that, because that comes with a level of ancestry that I don't.
Ooh, don't you know it?
And
don't you know it? Yeah.
I don't mess with people who you know what, just whatever. Have a nice day. I don't. Yeah. I don't want to put myself in the path of anybody like that, because who, not like that, but I don't want to piss anybody off who's capable of doing. Yeah, I just not. I'm not up for that. I don't want. I just mind my business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many things going on. Even in. All right. Well, when you got here, when you came to visit,
right?
I didn't tell you anything that was going on here.
No.
Okay. And then, what was the first thing? Where's the cat?
Yeah, I kept hearing the cats. I'm like, do you have cats in like? And I kept like the whole first night. I'm like, I literally was walking around the house looking for the cat. Why do I hear the cats meowing? What's with the cats meowing? Yep.
I think that was the original owner's cat. I have not talked to anybody to verify. Okay. But then once we talked about the cat, Then you told me you were seeing stuff moving around the perimeter of the house.
Yeah, somebody kept walking past the windows. Yeah. Like just like I'd be sitting, I'd be sitting like in your living room, well, your family room area or whatever.
Yeah.
And you had that bank of windows and then this window here where the air conditioning was.
Yep.
And I'd be sitting there and out of the corner of my eye in this window where the air conditioning was, I kept seeing somebody walk the corner of the house. And I'd go to that bank of windows that looked over the expanse of your backyard, waiting to see the person who rounded the corner.
Come around the corner.
Yeah. No.
And nobody ever comes around the corner.
And so then I'm like, well, maybe I'm watching the lady next door move around in her house. Right. So now I'm like creeping, right? Because I'm looking out the window, trying to see in the other window, like, is that something I can really see, right? Because, I thought maybe, she had the kid or whatever. And I thought maybe, I was catching the movement out of the corner of my eyes or whatever. No. And I swear I kept, and I kept in my bedroom, that Bruce and I were sleeping in, you had the AC unit in and the window was open, right? There was like a crack in the window. And man, I would hear somebody shuffling around out there. I was not going to. Your house freaks me out. If I had to, I would have to get up and go use the bathroom, and I would run past all those windows like as fast as I could.
Nothing ever feels like it's going to hurt you. I feel like the person we see outside is the old, this is where, she had her kids and everything else. What was it? At Hog Witching, so excited to work with the mission bases tomorrow. Now, oh no, LOL. Hey, who knows who these people are talking to? Okay. So always keep that in mind and say a prayer of protection for yourself every day before you go to work. And then do a cleansing when you come home because you don't know what's there. But I never get the feeling anything's bad. It's just the presence. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I'm doing a show on my channel, and I know Cynthia, some of my tribe that's here will remember this. Gillian came downstairs. I was in the middle of the show trying to tell me something, okay? But before she got down here, right over my head in your bedroom, okay, it's loud.
Yes.
Huge knocking. And I thought, is she so pissed she's trying to bang? She's stepping on the floor. And you could tell in the video, you go back and look at it, there was a little tension between her and I. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm live on the show. And I even cut out to talk to her. And then when I went upstairs, she never heard the noise. She didn't know why I'm like, what are you doing? Okay. Yeah. Guess what? The other day, she heard the noise.
Oh, wow.
So we don't know what that is. And it's very, very occasional, But yeah, there's also, let me put it this way. When Lisa, I don't care if we go to Florida or Anchorage, Alaska, but we are not staying in this house. We love the house. Okay.
It's a beautiful house. It's a great piece of property.
Oh my God. I love our property, things like that. And I enjoy it every day. But it's just those little add up things with the fireplaces that I can't light, but they're there. So I put stuff in them to make them look like they're a fireplace or whatnot. There are just so many things that, we're either going to go back to Florida but we're at least probably, if we don't go back to Florida, we're talking about moving to Portsmouth or even going further north to Maine.
Oh. But I think you'll get it in Maine too, though. I think you'll have even more interesting experiences in Maine. But
yeah, I told her I'm more interested in getting back into newer built apartment complexes.
Yeah, but then you got to worry about what they built it over.
Huh?
You got to worry about what they built it over.
Yeah, that's true. Especially up here, just like the whole East Coast. And that boy of mine that's an archaeologist. One of the coolest digs he ever went on was right there in Miami next to the Intercoastal Waterway. They were digging for the foundation, and they started digging up all this old stuff. So they had to stop. They brought him in to continue a dig, and he was finding like 8,000-year-old spearheads. He was finding, so the whole thing had to come to a screeching halt. And what he discovered was when they dredged the Intercoastal, okay, that was like a dumping ground or something, and water had come over, like, you know, people after culture and people, and they wound up just dredging it and then dumping it on this piece of property. So it literally all was like this mix. You might find a pop top and then a 4,000-year-old arrowhead,
right,
or a pot.
Well, if you consider like what happened just up in St. Augustine, and then the way the tide and everything goes, right? They, you know, have it floating down or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't
Rev Rob, please don't go to Florida. The healthcare there is hard. I'm from Florida. It's getting hard all over the place. And I can't imagine you not receiving, you know, your healthcare. And then he says, mercy me, I've been having some spooky stuff going on while busy with patients whilst missing these live streams. Yeah. You know what? Never take anything for granted. Always be prepared, because we deal with people and we get so ingrained that it's just this, it's just that. We can miss the obvious, and we can miss the obvious of how to help people. Right. So it is one of those things. So we'll say a prayer of protection for you. I did, you know, we asked for the protection for everybody, and, you know, take that with you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody has had some interesting experiences, you know? I think, and I also think it's all about the way you react to them too. I think if you, you know me, I'm a punk. If you show your fear, I think it's just gonna keep harassing you to get that fear. But if you are like, oh, that's interesting. What's this about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll end on a very funny one. It wasn't funny when it was happening or later, but I laugh at my own dumbass now. Okay. I'm running radar on 19 south of this little town, and there's a big bend. So you can get out there in the absolute dark. Okay. Right. I mean, it is pitch black, and there's swamp on both sides of the roads. It's swamp. We see swamp gas, gators crossing the road, and everything else. But you can catch some people. I mean, I didn't care if they were going 20 miles an hour over, but you catch somebody doing 80, 90, 100, you know, they're flying, and it's not safe, and they're going around a corner into town. Man, here comes a car. I get him on the radar, and I saw like a white glow down, you know, past, and I thought it was just headlights at first. All right. He's flying. I think I clocked him at about 128 or something like that. Oh, flying. I go to pull out to try to catch him. Here comes a big rig at 90 to 100.
Oh.
Okay. And it didn't dawn on me till later that once the big rig came into sight, that white light went away. Okay. So I was thinking, you know, just headlights. So I go to pull him over. We get almost through town before I catch him, and he's at a truck stop. So I pulled up to him at a truck stop, and he is literally shaking. And I'm like, dude. And he's like, write me a ticket, do whatever you want to do. I'm going in there. I'm going to have some coffee, because we're talking about like 13 miles to the next blinking light and then 13 miles to the next blinking light. This was nowhere. Okay. And he pulls out his driver's license. All right. Says, I'll give you the truck registration. Then he pulls out a pilot's license. He said, I need you to know I'm not crazy and I'm not drinking, because I would lose everything. And I'm like, okay. What's the deal? He said, after we came through Gulf Hammock, or not Gulf Hammock, it was Otter Creek. So that'll give you the idea. The first light 26 miles ago was Gulf Hammock. The next light was Otter Creek. Okay. And he said there was this light that came down and just hung right on the edge of his truck. And he's like, I slowed down, I'd speed up. And he said, it just stayed with me. It was ball light. He said, nothing else, nothing but. He said, that car that you couldn't catch was behind me.
I got the F out
And
of
when
there.
we started to round that curve and we could start to see some lights of the city, the light shut straight up. And I'm like, you know what? I looked at him and I said, guess what? You win. The story of my life. You win. And you did it so well, I'm going to let you go. All right. He went in, had a cup of coffee. I went in, had a cup of coffee. Then I said, I'm going back down there. 20-something years old, young, full of piss and vinegar. I pull off in the median in this complete dark. I have my windows down and the car off. Now I got all the swamp sounds, everything going. And then I'm like, what are you going to do with this thing?
Right. If it comes up, shows up.
If you catch it. If you see it, what are you going to do? Time for a cup of coffee. I went and spent 2 hours back in the truck stop. And I've laughed at myself ever since. Like, you are a dumbass.
Right. What are you going to do? Are you going to lasso it? Tie it to the back?
I'm that guy in the movie that was like, he did what?
Yeah. Don't open the door, Rob. Don't open the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't go
exactly.
down those stairs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Just interesting things happen. But it's so funny that you were out in the woods late at night often. I didn't spend a whole lot of time. When I was as a teenager, I did, but we were partying. So whatever was happening, I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention.
Right.
But
I don't care if you're in the woods, in a city, or whatnot. If there are people around, it's one thing. But when and you'll probably attest to this, even in a city, when you get into certain areas by yourself, and it's not just the criminal factor. I don't give a crap what anybody says. That 2 to 4 a.m. mark, that's when shit comes live. Shit happens.
Oh, even outside in my backyard.
Yeah.
Dude, like, there are times, there's no joke, I can be an insomniac. We talk about this all the time. So it's not unusual for me to be sitting in my living room at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, scrolling on my phone or whatever, because I've woken up and I can't go back to sleep. And the dogs are in the bedroom with Bruce, and, they're asleep. There's nothing going on. Ollie's sitting in my lap, and all of a sudden, the light in the backyard goes on, or the light. Even worse is I get the blink notification that there's somebody in somebody in the front yard or something. Dude, I'm not going to look. I'm not going to check that. No.
Something happened the other night. Gillian will tell you, she woke up and I was asleep on the sofa. My gun was on that table I keep next to me because something woke me up.
Yeah.
Something woke me up and I could not. I checked. We now lock, down into my studio where I'm at. Right. And it's a nice area. It's a beautiful area. It's not creepy at all or whatnot. But at night, we lock that door so nothing can come up from up the stairs. We have, because it's accessible from the garage and everything else. There's no reason anything could, but we've started because just some of the noises at night, we're like, you know what? And my wife has hung witch bells on, if you remember, a lot of the doors have bells hanging on them so she can hear, and she closes things to hear if something's opening a door.
Right.
So, we won't remain here. And I know in the next apartment or whatever it is, she would still have witch bells up, and has had them before. But even I was like, man, would you stop hanging these damn bells on? Ever since we've been in this house, nice bells.
Right. The only reason why I took mine off the door is because every time, like I said, I don't sleep, so I get up a million times a night. So I was going out to get water or go to the bathroom, and it would jingle and wake Bruce up. So I took mine off the door when we stayed, but but I get it. I get it, man. But anyway. All right. Well, we are at an hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and this was fun.
Yeah.
I'll get better at this. Trying to control things and get everybody's comments up. Sorry, guys. I'm working the board, so I'm not really used to it. And I've been trying to get everybody to and watch the comments and talk to Rob at the same time. So I don't like driving the boat, Rob.
You gotta get used to it.
I hear you.
You'll get a hang on it. And everybody, thank you so much. Remember to make sure you hit the subscribe button. Let's get Bridget's channel. Share the show. Hit the like button. Let's get Bridget's channel up and running too and get some things moving. And remember, if you need to get hold of her, if you'd like to do a reading with Bridget at eyesofthedragonfly.com. You can reach me at tarotwithanattitude.com and book a session right there. So, or tarotwithanattitude@gmail. All right.
Yep.
So I had fun.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, it must have been weird for you to not have, all the puppet strings to do,
Well, yeah, normally Gillian's able to help, things like that or whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you don't know how many times I've been sitting there trying to click on a comment and going, oh, I can't.
Yeah, I'm watching you. That's why I'm over here trying to see. Okay, I'm watching you, and I'm looking. All right, what's he reading? Let me try and follow what he's reading. That's kind of what I was trying to do. But anyway, all right, guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being on the channel. I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. All right, and have a good night.
And happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween. All right. Bye.
Bye.
How do I know if we're
where it says live, it will come up and say you got to hit stop twice.